Join us as we showcase the incredible reactions of 7 innocent convicts set free after years of wrongful imprisonment. Watch their emotional journeys and be inspired by the power of justice. Get ready for a moving experience. This is David Ranta. He was in prison for 22 years for a murder he did not commit. Ranta was apprehended by Detective Louis Scarcella in Brooklyn, New York. Yes, this is yet another wrongful conviction linked to Scarcella. Ranta was identified as the shooter after being placed in a police lineup run by Scarcella. However, decades later, the key witness reportedly revealed that the detective had given him a description of who to pick from the lineup. There was no physical evidence connecting Ranta to the murder. Furthermore, the evidence presented to the jury was allegedly fabricated. Ranta was subsequently found guilty and sentenced to 37.5 years to life in prison. However, after more than 2 decades in prison, the former witnesses admitted to being coerced into testifying against Ranta. And now is the time for his conviction to be overturned.
Mr. Ranta, to say that I'm sorry for what you have endured would be an understatement and grossly inadequate, but I say it to you anyway. The defendant's motion to vacate the judgment of conviction is granted.
He hugged his family after his handcuffs were removed, with everything he owned thrown over his back. He walks out of there a free man. Following his release, he reportedly received $200,000 from the state and a $6.4 million settlement from the city of New York. This is John Bunn. He was wrongfully convicted of murder for 27 years.
I'm an innocent man, Your Honor, and I have always been an innocent man.
Bunn was 14 years old when he was arrested by NYPD Detective Louis Scarcella in Brooklyn. Bunn later spent 16 years in prison and then 11 years on parole, where he continued to fight to prove his innocence. Finally, his conviction was overturned due to Detective Scarcella's wrongdoing and the fact that there was no probable cause to arrest Bunn in the first place.
I want y'all to know that y'all convicted and had a wrong man in prison.
He was finally exonerated after 27 years of fighting to clear his name.
I want to say thank you, Your Honor, because in 27 years, I've been fighting for my life.
But before he leaves the courtroom, he has a brief moment with the judge. Bunn went on to sue the city of New York and Detective Scarcella. This is Ricky Jackson. He was in prison for over 39 years for a murder he did not commit. Jackson was arrested at the age of 18 while living in Cleveland, Ohio. The main witness in the case was a 12-year-old boy named Eddie Vernon, who claimed he didn't see anything and claimed the police forced him to testify against Jackson, which led to his conviction. Jackson was initially sentenced to death by an electric chair. However, after 2 years on death row, his death sentence was commuted to life in prison. Nearly 4 decades later, Eddie Vernon, now 52, came forward with the truth, claiming that he never witnessed the murder. Jackson's charges were later dropped. After being wrongfully imprisoned for 39 years, Jackson finally hears that he is free to go.
Mr. Jackson, you're going to be free to go. Life is filled with small victories, and this is a big one. I wish you good luck. Thank you.
All right.
Jackson's now free to go outside for the first time. He received $1 million in state compensation and an additional $2.65 million in lost income. This is Susan Mellen. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole based on false testimony. She was 42 years old when she was arrested at a McDonald's in Los Angeles, California, while taking her daughter to get a Happy Meal. But she wouldn't see her child again for another 7 years because she had been charged with the murder of an ex-boyfriend.
You are under arrest now for murder.
Please believe me, I wouldn't do that.
Mellen's conviction was solely based on the testimony of an informant who claimed Mellen confessed to her about the murder. She was in prison for a total of 17 years until the informant was exposed as a pathological liar and untrustworthy witness. And now is the time for Mellen's case to be overturned.
The judgment is vacated, the conviction is overturned, and as to Ms. Mellen, the case is dismissed.
Mellen took her daughter to a McDonald's to deliver that long-awaited Happy Meal, and she was released, going from tears to jumping and enjoying herself. The state of California awarded Mellen $597,000 in compensation, and the Los Angeles City Council reportedly agreed to pay Susan Mellen $12 million. This is Daniel Villegas. He was in prison for 18 years for a double homicide he never committed. Villegas was arrested at the age of 16 in El Paso, Texas, where an El Paso detective allegedly threatened him with beatings and the death penalty if he did not confess, and the detectives prepared a confession for the adolescent Villegas. He attempted to retract his confession a few hours later, but it was too late. He was charged with capital murder on 2 counts. With only the false confession as evidence, the jury was unable to reach a decision. Villegas had a retrial, and the jury found him guilty and sentenced him to life in prison. After serving 18 years in prison, the verdict was overturned, and Villegas was released on bond, where he married and started a family. However, we are now in the 3rd trial. This is the moment Villegas will learn whether he will be allowed to return home with his family or be sent back to prison to serve his life sentence.
If the defendant will please stand. The State of Texas versus Daniel Villegas. Verdict Form B. We, the jury, find the defendant Daniel Villegas not guilty of... You are no longer under any conditions. You are free to leave.
Villegas has been set free. According to reports, Villegas has filed a lawsuit against the city of El Paso. This is Kirsten Lobato. She was in prison for 16 years for a murder she did not commit. She was charged with the brutal murder of a homeless man in Las Vegas when she was 18 years old. She was initially convicted of a first-degree murder, but on retrial, she was found guilty of voluntary manslaughter and sentenced to 13 to 45 years in prison. After serving 16 years in prison, a new hearing was held with evidence confirming the victim's death on the day Lobato was 3 hours away with her family, demonstrating that Lobato could not have committed these crimes. She is stepping outside for the first time as a free woman.
I feel overwhelmed, I feel excited, I feel grateful, I'm so happy.
Lobato has sued the Las Vegas Police Department, and her compensation claim is still pending.
It's ongoing.
But where to now?
Okay, well, we got more people coming too.
This is Luis Vargas. He was sentenced to life in prison for crimes he did not commit. Vargas was 29 years old and lived in Los Angeles, California. He was charged with 3 sexual assaults at the time. Because of the similar descriptions of these crimes, police concluded that all 3 attacks were committed by the same person. Vargas was later found guilty on all counts and sentenced to 16 years in prison until the California Innocence Project tested DNA on the remaining physical evidence and clothing from one of the victims. It was a no match, proving Vargas did not commit these crimes. Vargas sat silently as he was cleared of all charges. Vargas's mother only had one simple wish for him when he became a free man.
He is in fact innocent because the evidence will show that it undermines the prosecution's case.
Vargas reportedly received $886,000 in state compensation after being exonerated. That concludes today's video on the top 7 reactions of innocent convicts set free. We hope you found it as moving and inspiring as we did. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. And see you next time.
Guilty of...